Welcome to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. I'm Dave.
I'm Grant.
And hello, that's it. That's the whole fancy intro.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about Attack on Titan, as always. Talking about Season 4, Episode 2. I think it was called Midnight Train. Is that accurate?
The Midnight Train, I believe.
The Midnight Train. Let's just jump into it. I mean, if you guys listened to Episode 1 or last week's episode, it was a hell of a season opener. It was all kinds of madness. And Grant, this episode feels like it's kind of at a slower pace and kind of more of a setting the stage episode. Is that fair to say?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think this is a significantly better episode.
Really?
This is not in terms of action and just explosiveness on the screen, but this is this is season 2 Attack on Titan. This is you know it's slow, it's methodical, like it's getting the details out, and it just what a great episode for just filling in the blanks.
I knew
You
you would
know,
like this kind of thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
just like methodical, like it's all in the details, lots of conversations behind closed doors, that kind of vibe.
Very clandestine. Even though it's out in the open, it's still Marley. It's very much Marley. Uh, which episode 2, I'm more comfortable. I get the characters now, and I really see. I am getting the vibe where they're going, and also the animation in this episode is, I would say, for the most part, very CG. Did you notice that?
Yeah, definitely. Like they leaned on it, and it definitely there, there's this one scene, and we'll get to like a whole plot breakdown in a minute. But there's like this one area where they're all outside, and Reiner's looking at these kids. All the warrior candidates are talking,
Yeah.
and the CG feels super inconsistent with it's
Hmm.
not matching the fast action of their mouths talking.
Yeah.
And then the immediate shot after that is like of Reiner looking at them, and he's framed by this like beautiful sunset behind him, and the lighting is coming across his face, and it was like, holy shit, that's an amazing shot.
Mm.
It's just weird that it was preceded by this kind of messy scene.
That's the thing too. I'm wondering. It was less jarring than the previous episode. This is such a weird thing. It's such a weird way to start the episode. But you know, the jarring reveal of Reiner and the armored Titan, and falling from the sky. It was. It wasn't bad, and I still don't think it's bad, but it was just so jarring. It's starting to look more natural. There's, I don't want to jump ahead, but there's a scene with two characters walking up a staircase and they're talking, and just the way their bodies look really natural.
Yeah, I feel that
It's
it's almost like you can feel the new animators getting used to it.
yeah, the
uh,
characters, and who knows the process of how they make them, but
yeah,
it just seemed more natural. Maybe it's just us getting used to it, but
yeah, I mean, it is a hell of an adjustment in terms of the animation style. So yeah. But maybe with all that said, we should jump into the actual content of the
yeah.
episode. It starts off just with this. I think it's actually a black shot, like cold open, where it's just you just see the subtitles and there's no picture yet,
Hmm.
and it says human ingenuity surpasses and shatters Marley's armor at last. And it's this war council meeting where the generals are talking about this newspaper headline of different nations. So you were kind of you predicted, or you were talking a lot about this last week,
Hmm.
about, are we going to learn that there's more nations out there? And we were both wondering, like, damn, like, these weapons that cut through the Titans, like, is this really going to end Marley's dominance? And it feels like everybody's resoundingly being like, yes, yes,
in, in,
yes.
including the Marley head command.
Yeah,
That's what we open to, and also clearly Hitler.
100%.
you know.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll go, because not to beat or kick a dead horse here. We've talked about it a bunch. We're really kind of going the Nazi Holocaust route.
Yeah.
It seems like. I wonder if they'll go as far as the Hitler route. Like, are they going to give you one bad guy to embody? It makes you wonder if there's going to be a big bad. I don't think so.
I think if anyone, it is going to be Commander Magath who's back in this
Right.
episode. You can tell. I don't know if he's in charge of the warrior program
Mm-hmm.
or because they give some titles like Zeke and is known as the war chief
Yep.
and Reiner is the vice war chief
Yep.
or so the if anything that character like that role I think is going to go to Magath and who knows where it's going to go but I don't think they're going to be in Marley for much longer.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So they keep going and they talk about, yes, okay, we all agree that our superiority is kind of waning. It took us 4 years to squash something that probably shouldn't have been that hard.
Hmm.
And then Zeke jumps in, and they're not going to let up in this whole theme of like really beating the audience over the head of like, listen, Eldians are second class citizens, even the warriors,
Yeah.
which is why Zeke has to request permission just to give his opinion.
Very, yeah, just
And he's Zeke. He's like the Beast Titan. We're used to seeing him in like season 3, just fucking shit up.
yeah,
Just he's the boss. He's the big bad. He's the embodiment of all the. There was a time in season 3 where he must have had all the answers, and now
yeah.
he's just another second class citizen, but he's got a slight leg up because he's a warrior.
Hmm.
So anyway,
Even they call him the Wonder Kid,
they gave Wonder Boy Zeke.
the Wonder Boy Zeke, and you can
Kind of
tell like
condescending.
he's condescending too, and you can tell he's like the pet. Funny enough, he's the Beast Titan, but
Yep.
you can tell like he with everything that happened with him giving up Grisha and his mother. I think it's Dina.
Yep.
Dina Fritz is his mother.
Yep.
Um, giving them up, and obviously, he would have just been some other Eldian at that point if he
Mm-hmm.
had not done that. He had made his mark, but very condescending, very it's like you said, second class citizen,
Which is
and
just it's so conflicting, right? Like we've been trained to look at these characters in one way for a year or two or a couple seasons now.
mhm,
And what they're doing is so brilliant, right? Like by giving us 2 episodes without even touching the main cast yet,
mhm.
and all we're doing is starting to feel for these other characters. It's like, what are you doing to me?
It's so fun. Yeah, it's I guess you wouldn't have you didn't play The Last of Us. I guess this is some major spoilers if you played The Last of Us Part
No,
Two.
I didn't. Go ahead.
But the whole it was you played the first game and you had like these two characters and you fell in love with them and their story, and then there's all this time passes and you go into the second one and they kind of they pull a fast one and you're actually seeing it from someone else's side of the story
Oh, okay.
that who was
Perspective shift.
yeah, perspective shift, and you're actually seeing it from the antagonist. And I know there's a lot of hullabaloo about that, but like I ended up enjoying the perspective shift more than the original.
I
you
know.
know
Oh my god.
so I don't think I'm getting that vibe yet. I think if anything, Falco is, and we'll get to that. Falco has
Yeah,
a couple moments in this episode.
big ones.
He very Aaron-esque.
Yep, 100%.
It's weird. He's very much like Aaron, but I'm getting a protector vibe like Mikasa from him.
Interesting.
It's almost like a role reversal between Gabby and Falco. It's a reversal of
Yeah,
Aaron and Mikasa.
they're different kind of amalgams, but they're all
Yeah,
kind of maybe a sum of different parts or the same parts, but it's giving us a different result.
a picture is being painted. We're
Yeah.
supposed to think and we're supposed to see like characters within each other, but yeah, no, it's but anyway. So the perspective shift. So it's we see Zeke, and then it was also very interesting. The way he threw. You can tell Zeke is very smart. He's got a plan
Oh
here
yeah.
because he throws Colt under the bus,
Yeah.
and then in the immediate scene following, it's no, no, you're like sorry, like I had to do it more or less. Like
Yeah. They
it was
make
at
it.
your, you know,
Yeah, they make it obvious that Zeke is like, "Oh, sorry, I had to throw you under the bus to further my agenda." He literally says that.
yeah,
So, so okay, I guess we don't believe what he said because what he said in that war room was, "Oh, I'm concerned Colt can't handle the full power of the Beast, or the Beast Titan, whatever that means."
hmm
But then he kind of recants it privately to Colt anyway. A minute
hmm
later, we should touch on the counsel that he did give, which was, "Hey, yes, our military superiority with the Titans is ending. However, in the meantime, I have, they ask, how much time do you have left on your term? Almost like it sounds like a government contract,
Yeah, yeah.
because I guess in a way it is. Um, AKA, how much time do you have left to live? And he's like, yeah, I've got a year left, and my idea is while we restructure the military, we should assemble all of the Titan forces, give me another shot at the island of Paradis. I want to go down there and reunite all of our power, bring back all of the Titans under our control, bring back the founding Titan, et cetera, et cetera.
I took that scene as him saying, "You need me. You need to let me go back so I can get the founding titan to allow you to restructure."
Interesting.
Because I got the vibe that Marley has leaned too heavily on the Titans, and they're clearly being surpassed,
Yep.
in technologically.
Yep.
So I kind of took that as like, hey, you know, may I speak? Okay, now that I'm speaking, you guys are fucked. Allow me to give you time, and you can. There is like there's like the weird respect between like what they have for him and what he can do. They're all terrified of them. You can
Yep.
clearly tell that. Like even also I found it interesting too. Colt is always around,
Yep.
and I guess that just makes sense because
He's
he's
the
gonna
successor.
well he's the successor, but he's gonna get Zeke's memories. So
Yeah.
regardless, he's might as well just be in the room kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like an experience thing, like an apprenticeship. But it's very interesting that the whole warrior program and like the way I feel like we're gonna get more into like why they're chosen and like maybe the training and all that. But
It's such a structured program.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way Titans are passed back and forth there is so literally government regulated, and is just not at all what we were anticipating because everything that happened on the island with the main cast, people that are Titans are usually Titans by accident. They don't
Hmm.
understand anything about it,
Yeah.
so it's very jarring.
Hmm.
One thing I want to get to while he's outside talking to Colt is Colt goes, you're unlike any other Beast Titan in history. Why are you so special? It's not like you have royal blood.
But he does.
But he does, right?
Yeah, yeah. Dina Fritz
Dina Fritz,
was.
yeah, okay, so his mother, Grisha's first wife,
Yeah.
was of royal blood because she
Hmm.
was the smiling Titan.
Hmm.
And so this is connecting a lot of things for me that I probably could have known already. But if you remember back in season 2, when Eren uses the coordinate power for the first time, it's because he is touching Dina Fritz's hand when she's a Titan, right?
Because she has the bloodline. She's one of the seven.
Right.
Is it? Yeah, because she has. They're the. Or how does that
She's
work?
part of some royal bloodline. I think maybe some royal Eldian bloodline. I
Hmm.
guess. Like a
One of the
direct
seven.
descendant. Yeah,
One of the seven
direct.
bloodlines. Yeah.
Yeah. So he touches her hand, and he gains the ability. His coordinate powers start working. I guess this probably explains that because Zeke is a direct descendant of her,
Mm.
that his Beast Titan is probably OP, right?
Amplified. Yeah.
Yeah, so he maybe that's why he can yell at Titans and make them transform, or yell at Eldians and make them pop into Titans. Maybe not all Beast Titans can do that, or maybe they
Hmm.
can. I don't know, but okay. But it did make one thing clear. Marley has no idea that he's actually of royal descent, right?
I think that's what it is. I think he's been like that's a detail he's left out. But you would think they would have known that. But I guess Dina, because her and Grisha met during like the resistance
Yep.
meetings. Like the all the underground meetings. They must have had an idea that
Yeah.
there was like at least a Fritz left because she would have been abandoned from when the Fritzes originally left.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's about, but
Timeline wise,
he's
yeah.
keeping a secret, and then he actually says to Colt, he's like, "Oh, you'll learn it when you gain all my memories."
Yeah, that was so funny. I
And
laughed out loud.
little misdirect. He's like, "Oh, it's a secret way I wipe my ass." But like, but I guess he realizes very clearly like he might have the secret for now, but it won't be his secret for long forever. I mean, he'll be dead and it won't matter,
It won't matter, yeah.
but his secret will get passed down to Colt. Okay, so that makes sense. They're on that roof talking, about this, and then is it Magath that shows up?
Magus
That
shows up
yeah.
and right to the chase of you have no secrets. I want to know how many ass hairs you have, on your ass, or how many hairs you have on your ass. Like
He
like
He puts a
light my
cigarette.
cigarette. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leans into it. Light it. Like, come on.
Yeah. But he does drop a big knowledge bomb here.
Yeah.
He's like, we sent 32 ships to the island of Paradis, and 0 have come back.
I'm going to put a pause on that. This is my theory.
Hit me.
None of those ships are destroyed.
Oh, you think like our main cast is killing the occupants but keeping the ships?
I think they're keeping the ships. They are at sea. I think when the original cast and the new cast finally meets, it's going to be a at sea battle where the
Oh
Titans are
my
useless.
god, that is interesting.
Yeah,
I like that prediction.
yeah.
You're going out on a limb with it. That's
That's
interesting.
I think that's going to be the first big like epic battle. It's going to be ODM. I think the original crew is going to have a huge advantage because they're going to be at open sea. They're not going to be able to effectively use the Titans on ships. Like we don't know. Again, this is a total out of left field prediction
Yeah,
here. But I think all those ships are fully operational and filled with Paradis Eldians.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
I like the prediction. It's
yeah.
interesting. One thing we know for sure is that Marley's attempts to go back there have obviously been unsuccessful.
I think it was just he says scouts, all our scout ships.
Yeah, but he does mention there were 32 of them over the
Hmm.
course of the last 4 years. So if
Yeah,
you've gone 32-0, it's not great.
not great.
So that's it. Kind of encouraging to hear that the main cast has been staying busy. I'm sure we'll find out what they've been up to later. But
Hmm.
we know that they found the dock, and they found the place where they usually kick Eldians off that wall.
Yeah, yeah.
So we know that. So assuming once they found the dock, they maybe started setting up some defenses or something or other. That's interesting to hear that they haven't just been resting over the last 4 years.
They've been busy. I think they've
Um,
been very busy. I'm so excited.
yeah, I'm so stoked. It's
This
also
is why I love this episode so much. It was so revealing. It's just breadcrumb after breadcrumb. But like as we continue, they're getting bigger and bigger, and it's just gonna come to fruition. It's just gonna be gorgeous. I can't wait.
um, moving on. We get this cool scene. We meet the Galliard quicker than I thought we would. I think we
Yep.
were talking about last week. Like, are we gonna meet this dude?
Yeah,
And
I think
he's
they
interesting.
gotta get. He's very interesting. Um, I kind of got the vibe. Well, he was supposed to be the armored titan, no? Or no, his brother was supposed to be the armored titan.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a little confused here. I don't know how good your memory is, but he also again drops a couple knowledge bombs on us, right?
Yeah.
Um, he's got this dirty line about Ymir. One,
Mm,
he confirms that Ymir is dead. He ate her,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Shows her in
Shows it
shackles.
happen,
Yeah.
and he goes, "What an impressive name for such a pitiful woman." It's like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They have no sympathy. You can tell they're so indoctrinated to
Yeah,
like the the word of Marley law and
yeah.
like history.
He's doing her dirty there, but
Yeah.
he mentions his brother, whose name was Marcel.
Hmm.
Now, as far as Marcel goes, do you remember way back when we learned about Ymir becoming like a cognizant Titan? We get like this flashback of she ate one of their friends. Like she
Yeah, and
ate.
it's Bertold and Reiner.
Yeah, there's Bertold and Reiner, and
Yeah.
one guy jumps in front,
Hmm.
and she eats him, and that's
Yeah.
what wakes her up, and she gains a Titan power, which is, why they brought her back, and presumably why Galliard inherited her ability. Who did she eat? Was that Galliard's brother, or is that a
Uh,
completely different guy?
no, I'm thinking the guy that she ate was his brother.
Okay, that is there were like names being mixed up that I couldn't remember, so it sounds like she just out of happenstance
Got
woke
the
up,
jump. Yeah.
got the jump on the three of them, ate Galliard or
Or Marcel.
Marcel, Galliard's brother, and then infiltrated the wall and was like not really too upset about everything because she had her own weird little arc. But then Reiner and Berthold drag her back one way or the other, and she's eaten by Galliard. Okay, and he seems to be. It makes sense that he's just wrecking shit as that Titan. I think he has the Jaw Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense that he's wrecking shit because he was probably a candidate for a long time.
Hmm. Well,
Very
sounds like they
prepared.
all, and we do get a reveal of like the previous class candidates, which was very, it's jumping ahead, but what an interesting moment.
Yeah. A little more on Galliard. He was a bit of a dick to Reiner. It felt like. Like, did you catch some of that stuff? Some of the
Cle
dialogue between them?
Clearly has no respect for him.
100%.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
he got
Do
the
you think
memories right,
yeah, because he didn't get. Yeah, he would have got Ymir's memories, and
which is enough.
he makes the reference of like and he like went right for the throat. It was like, are you just gonna go from encounter encounter having someone else save you?
Yeah. He's like,
I was
oh,
like, wow.
and then he's like, what were you doing pretending to be a reliable guy? Were you trying to imitate my brother? He's like, Jesus, Jesus, man. Um,
Also,
Go ahead.
interesting. Reiner's has some serious PTSD involving Mikasa.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, are you mentioning that dream sequence, which is like I think
that's how he wakes
how
up to that scene.
yeah that scene starts because at the end of the scene on the roof, Zeke says it's not just the Titans we have to worry about, and then it
Mm,
fades into Mikasa wrecking shit.
yeah.
And Zeke himself obviously got his ass handed to him in his fight with Levi.
It was interesting that I guess Zeke was referencing the scouts in general, and then that was like the segue to introducing Reiner. So I guess he would have. At first, I thought, well, why did they show Levi? But I guess it was their way of cutting to Reiner, and I
Yeah, it
guess
was a good cut,
Reiner, yeah, very good cut.
but it could be their way of showing PTSD about their one-on-one losses to these people. It
Yeah,
could be about the scouts at large. It could be about the Ackermans,
mm,
or yeah, Mikasa encapsulates a lot.
yeah.
Um, so anyway, yeah, moving on, Galliard is a dick to Reiner, and then I think we meet the Cart Titan. Is this like the quadriplegic one, or the one that's always on all fours?
The quadriplegic? You mean
Yeah,
with the
I guess
shit a
she,
wheelchair?
yeah, yeah. I guess she wouldn't be in a wheelchair, but the one
the
that's always walking all weird.
yeah, non-bipedal.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
didn't you? Am I wrong in assuming it was a dude under there? Like I always assumed it was a dude. Did you assume it was a dude?
I hadn't assumed because I was also under the assumption we had talked about this last week or the week before. I had assumed I was under the impression that that was just like an intelligent Titan. It wasn't necessarily a shifter
Okay.
because they had. I think someone makes like an offhand reference in season 3 about like the intelligent Titan save. Like they were kind of like shocked to see it.
Yeah.
Um, I really had no idea what we're getting into, but we're introduced to Piek. I think is the you
Piek,
pronounce it Piek.
and she says she's the Cart Titan,
Yeah,
and Cart. I have to assume that means the thing she carries on her back. So she has to be that Titan, right?
yeah, for sure.
And she says she was in Titan form for 2 months.
That's wild. Has any other than her, like, have we seen that before on
No.
screen where someone was, on for that long?
I mean, I think Ymir says before she woke up after eating Marcel, she was a Titan for 60 years, but like she was asleep for a part of that time. Like she probably doesn't even remember it. You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's a shifter being in that form that long. I think is probably a record.
Hmm.
What a pro, man! Holy crap! And she's like, she's got a what do you call it when you break a limb and you use it to walk around?
A crutch.
She's got a crutch with her, probably because she's like relearning how to walk.
Well, she even says she's like, I'm not used to being a biped. Like,
Yeah,
I forgot how to do it, and she's, uh, but she can tell she's significantly more caring than Reiner. She doesn't outright, you know, give Reiner a break, but she's like, maybe we shouldn't pick on the guy who just took cannonballs to the head. Like just trying to get Galliard to lay off a little bit. You can tell, like Galliard and Reiner. I don't think that's their last encounter.
yeah, I don't think so either. And it's funny too because on the battlefield, Galliard did save Reiner's ass a couple times,
Hmm.
and he saved the Titan candidates, and then Reiner also saved Zeke when they
Yes,
were
at
all
the
in Titan
very end.
form. You know what I mean? So like the chemistry and the teamwork is definitely there, but apparently make no mistake that they have feelings when they're in their human form.
I think I don't think they're underselling how much of a failure. I think they're sorry. I guess yeah, they are underselling how much of a failure the parody operation was. Like I know like a war came out of it,
Yep.
and it was 4 years long. So I guess like that is not exactly underselling it, but in I guess in conversation, like it's. I bet you that was a huge deal when they came back.
Yeah. No,
You
you're
know,
probably right.
they had been gone for 5 years. Nothing significant had come of it. And I'm wondering too, like or I guess Galliard wouldn't have been there, but was Piek there the whole time as well, operating in the background?
Yeah, I mean, who knows about the whole time, but we did see her with Zeke at least a few times, right?
Yeah, at the
She
very end.
she
Yeah.
carried Zeke's ass out of there
Uh
after he
huh.
got beat up. Um, yeah, so maybe she was involved. It sounds like they invested significant resources in that operation just to have it fail.
Hmm.
So yeah, not shocking that everybody resents him a little bit. Um, Following that, I mean, this is when we move into this scene that we were talking about at the top of the episode, where I think Reiner starts walking around, um, and he's like talking with the Eldian candidates
Mm.
or the warrior candidates, and
We got some proper introductions.
we get some proper introductions. But you basically get the vibe. I mean, there's not a ton that goes on here before they
Hmm.
get on the train, but they talk to them about that. What am I trying to say here? They all meet up and they're all super happy to see Reiner,
Hmm.
right? And he's like kind of like the big brother of the crew. It feels like, you
Well,
know,
he's their commander.
yeah. Gabby
Like
is
yeah,
clearly obsessed with him.
is also family with him.
Yeah, we later learn that she's his niece. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
or
He's
cousin. It'd be his
yeah.
cousin.
Oh
Yeah.
right, yes. Falco is clearly concerned about Reiner, but clearly like the guys want to. These kids just want to hang out with him
Yeah.
because he's their off commanding officer.
Yeah. They idolize him.
Yeah, they really do,
They are to become him.
literally.
It's they. It's probably like for them, it's the highest honor they've had their whole lives. They've been called rats and scum, and the only chance they have to get away and out of it is through Reiner.
Yeah.
It's
Because part of the title of becoming a warrior is you're an honorary Marleyan.
yeah,
It's like literally the only way you can not be an Eldian anymore. But even then, you're still not a real Marleyan.
yeah. The Wonder Boy. Like
Yeah,
he's still taken with a grain, maybe not a grain of salt. He's clearly like a tactical mind they
yeah.
choose to go to, but
But from a lesser person.
yeah.
Doesn't matter how smart he is. Cut to the train. That's really the next scene. I mean, all the Eldians are celebrating their victory.
Well, I guess we should like go over the names. So we have
Oh right.
Gabby,
Yep.
Falco, Obi, I
Yep.
believe, and then Sophia. We
Is
get like
Obi the one that was like kicking stuff because he was
yeah.
upset and Reiner was like, "Don't attack the
But that
ground."
was, but and I don't want to jump past that either. I thought that was so interesting. Like, it's very similar to a moment. Again, this is in the next scene on the train. There's a moment between Reiner and Falco, which is probably one of the biggest moments in the episode, in my opinion, if not the big moment. Was Obi was like, good, like yeah, we won the war, but like now the whole world just thinks we're people still think we're rats. Like it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the frustration these poor children, like growing up in this, they're being used as pawns for war and showing like it's the warrior program is so fucked up.
Dude, it's super fucked up. It's
Like
yeah, man. No, you're right because I think he goes off on that tangent because he sees the prisoners of war or survivors of war on the other side,
yeah,
and they're all either they're headed home or whatever. He's like, dude, he's gonna bring them stories about what monsters we are on the battlefield,
yeah,
and it's just continually gonna perpetuate what we're all about, which is literally dropping Titan bombs on people.
yeah, which unreal,
Yeah.
unreal stuff.
So yeah, I mean, he's frustrated and he should be. But yeah, we get those formal introductions. Reiner, this is also the scene where we mentioned the CG was like really weird in one scene and
Yeah.
then really great in another. So that was a
Hmm.
weird moment that really stuck out to me. But then we cut to the train, and one of my favorite parts is like all the Eldians are celebrating, and I
It's
think is it
the lead
Colt?
up. It's the lead up when when it's Colt is trying to like he's clearly loaded. I think it's just him that's drunk.
Yeah,
and he's like, at first you think he's like berating them, and then he's like giving, Gabby ultimate honors, retelling the story. He's like, she did this for you. Like,
She did kind of save 800 lives with that little maneuver.
yeah. And you can just see Falco is chapped,
Yeah, 100%.
super chapped. Like his brother, like his brother is just, it's probably weird for him. He probably looks up to his brother in a
Totally.
certain way, and he looks up to Reiner, who, they're all a close family. And I think Gabby also kind of reveals her character in this episode.
Yeah,
She,
she's pretty straightforward. She's clearly like brilliant and a tactical mind, but
yeah,
she's all about this life.
yeah,
She's
she's
down.
selfish.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's down.
yeah,
The funny part that did make me laugh though was even in the subtitles you can catch it, and the audio as well. Obviously, is Gabby's on Colt's shoulders and he's chanting Gabby, Gabby, and she's just chanting me, me.
me.
Like, yep, you got it.
Yeah,
And then
but
go ahead.
well, yeah, no, and then it cuts to the front, front of house and the train, and the one guy's like looked was looking forward to shutting them up.
Oh yeah, it's like again, like when the prison guard kind of enjoys telling inmates to shut up because it gives him an opportunity to exercise his power.
Yeah,
Same thing.
yeah.
And then one of the guys like, "Oh, let them have it."
It's McGath,
Yeah,
the head honcho. He's like, no, like, let him have this one.
yeah.
You know,
It means more to them than it does to us. It's not. He's not being nice. He's just giving them a little. It's
I
like
think
throwing
that
scraps
was.
for dogs kind of thing.
I will say I did find that more of like a soldier moment than like a nation, like a member of a nation moment.
Right.
At the end of the day, they were like, they're warriors, they're soldiers, like they put their life on the line, whether it's their choice or not. And and I'm not saying it was a redeeming moment, but like I said, I found that more of a, like a rank and file moment
Yeah.
than but
It's
even the rest, like the warriors, they don't go in the back, like they stay front of house.
yep. Yep.
Like
Up there with the
Galliard was
officers.
there, Zeke was there, Reiner, Piek, like it's and they also, I found this episode too, they really show, you see the color coding a little more of like the
Hmm.
Eldians. There's like the gray, and then I only think the young warriors have yellow, and
Oh yeah.
then the actual, like the Titans, the shifters have like the red band.
Yeah.
But also later in the scene, I think family. It must be like a, when you get to that role, the family benefits of it
The
too, because
yeah, I noticed that when they got off the train,
yeah,
the
their
families
family
had the
members
red
had the red
armbands too.
bands.
Before we get off the train, though, there's that big moment where.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So this is the big one you've mentioned a couple times, where basically Reiner and Falco are talking about Gabby, and she's partying and et cetera, et cetera, and Reiner's saying she's a good kid, and Falco's like, yeah, she's a good kid. She's obsessed with you, and she'll die when she's 27.
yeah.
So this
The
gives
turn,
us,
oh,
yeah,
the turn on his face, on Reiner's face. I was like, oh no.
yeah. So this was almost like some Orwellian like 1984 shit, where it's like for a second there, Falco's like, oh, I can trust you to say this thing, and
Yeah,
then Reiner's just turns and is like, what the fuck are you saying? Are you trying to say it's not an honor to die this way? And Falco backpedals real quick.
but also so does Reiner
I feel
at the
like
very end. I
Reiner
think
gives him a little
he,
nugget to
I
hold on
think,
to.
I think Reiner knows that Falco cares for Gabby deeply,
Yeah,
and even though it is an honor, I think Falco wants to be the armored titan so she can.
yeah,
I think I don't, and that's the thing too. I don't think Falco is. He doesn't think of. I don't think he thinks the parody Eldians are any less. I don't think he thinks they're not devils, but I think
he has yet to say that.
he wants the war to end, so this Titan thing doesn't have to continue.
Yeah,
I think that's the vibe I'm getting. Like he's seeing,
he seems to be thinking in more than one dimension, and
yeah,
maybe is like, what is the sense in all this? One thing just on Reiner is like one of the haunting things he says to Falco before he kind of gives him a bit of hope is he goes, dude, if I were to report you saying this, you and your family will become Titan weapons.
yeah,
Which I assume to mean, those Titans they literally just use as cannon fodder or they
drop
use
from
to
the
drop out
sky.
of airplanes. Yeah. So that was rough. Um, but then at the very end, he goes, Falco says, I need to be the armored titan. And Reiner goes, yes, you have to rescue Gabby from the dark future that
Hmm.
awaits us. But then later, Reiner says, oh, it's almost certain that Gabby will become a titan. So it's kind of like he's playing both sides here. Like, is he?
I think what well, I wanted to get into that because we've talked about this before, the duality of Reiner,
Yeah.
and has always been a complicated character with, there's just been like a fog around him, like we haven't been able to really get to know, but now we see him from the other side of his life,
Mm-hmm.
not the parody side, but like the Marleyan side, and I don't think he's going to be like a double agent or anything like that. I don't think he's going to go back. I think he's going to go in a blaze of glory, but very conflicted. And then also probably he has. I guess I guess that's pretty much it on the train. He has that moment, but it leads to them being home, and there's that dinner scene, and I think he says that uncertainty about Gabby is just like that's just reassuring the family. You can tell
I agree.
I think they're used to the status. You can tell they have a nice home.
Yep,
You
I agree.
know, I think
He,
it's to keep them, and you can tell how much it cares to his mother. Like to keep the family like of like status, and it's probably all they've ever had. Like they've been considered rats their whole life, or like lesser people.
because they're eating it right up too, right? Let alone the fact that in order to pass this power down, your son has to literally be eaten alive. But
Mhm.
no one mentions that. She's like, oh, I just can't believe it's going to be such an honor. We'll have two warriors in the family. Because
Yeah,
this is also the scene in which you realize the audience learns that Gabby is related to Reiner.
yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think that he was saying that to placate the family or to encourage them, and then maybe secretly he wants Falco. It also makes you wonder how much say do the actual warriors get in who succeeds them? Like, do
My
they get
guess, my guess
total?
is none other than Zeke.
Yeah,
That would be my guess. Maybe, and I have a feeling they don't trust Reiner.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
or they don't.
wouldn't be
After everything
shocking.
that happened.
But it does make you wonder because what if they do get a say? What if at the last second, Reiner, despite Gabby passing everything with flying colors, maybe Reiner goes, "No, I'm going to give it to Falco," because of these reasons. Like, I mean, I don't know. Who knows how that works? Or if Reiner will be alive long enough for his Titan to actually be inherited by anyone.
I would find that surprising, considering how much like the government considers them as just a tool.
Yeah,
Like why would a tool have thought? Like they have to ask permission to speak.
good point.
And I could it could be I couldn't see that in my opinion, but you know
No, that's a good point.
it's
They are a means to an end.
I'd be very interested if any of them even become Titans by the end of this.
Yeah, you have to. Then again, time skips, right? They might.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's true.
what I was going to say was, that dinner takes place at home. They get
Yeah.
off the train, and the audience is introduced to their home, which appears to be, I think it's called Liberio,
Liberia, yeah.
and it's like a camp.
I
Like
think I
it
think
looks like a
it's
camp,
I think it's a city
a
because
zone for Eldians.
it would be a zone. Well, because this would be the same place as in season 3, part 2, where they introduce, because that's where Zeke's from and Grisha is
Yeah,
from.
yeah, but there are
So,
gates keeping them in. No.
well, there were zones. Like I think
Yeah.
there is towns. I think there's communities, but I don't think it's like they're not living in like tents or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's fully, there's buildings and all that, but it does feel like they are. It's a district in which they are annexed or zoned, and
yeah,
maybe they're not allowed to leave. It's hard to
yeah.
tell. Um, one thing that sticks out were the emotional trauma Eldians.
Oh, that was sad.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this lineup of them, and they're all clearly shell shocked, suffering from PTSD, and the soldiers around them are going boom, like just to scare them.
Did you
It's
catch
pretty
the
fucked
moment
up.
with the soldier that had the armband on the wrong arm?
Yeah, I did notice that.
I wonder if that's the character from the Stinger of episode 1.
Oh, you're wondering if we got an undercover main cast Eldian
I
who's blending in?
believe he had a hat, and I believe he had long brown hair.
Interesting. I did not think about that. That would be
And I was
super cool.
wondering if it was like a mistake on that person's part. They put the armband on the wrong side, like they didn't know,
Oh, I
or they hadn't
see.
noticed.
I mean, maybe I fell for it. I assumed it looked like that person had eye bandages, but I guess why would their eye bandages explain them putting their band on the wrong arm? It wouldn't.
Mm.
But
Well, Falco's throwaway line is like he's so like distraught that he put it on the wrong arm.
yeah,
He's so mentally fatigued he put it on the
right.
wrong arm.
That'd
You
be
know,
that'd be a hell of a stinger if that'd be a cool little tip if it ends up being one of our main cast or like Gene or somebody on a mission
yeah.
to gather
It
data.
might not be that, but like I said, I found that
That'd
as
be cool
funny
though.
because then it cuts right to boom, and then everyone kind of like jumps and falls over.
Yep.
So it was
They don't really leave much alone there. I mean, they show you the emotional trauma Eldian scene. We cut to the dinner we just talked about,
yeah,
and then we cut to overnight, where it's just a raging storm overnight. It's a very very quick scene, but you see a suicide. You see
yeah,
somebody jump off a roof,
yeah.
and they don't even mention it. They don't say anything about it. They just show you. There's no dialogue whatsoever, and it's again they're just reinforcing like, hey, this is
Well,
pretty bad.
yeah. This is they go
It's
from a not a great situation to being fodder in a war and to just going back to the same life they
yeah,
had. It's
and
which is
some
a good analog for war too. Like it's real life war. Like I'm sure not all people come from a great place. When they go,
yeah.
when like they're drafted like that, or in this absolutely drafted in this situation. But one last thing, the dinner scene, our first mention of the original cast when
Right.
Reiner has that. Honestly,
Really
he has a
weird.
flashback, like a PTSD moment right at the dinner
Yeah.
table.
Where he kind of mentions a bit, yeah, I infiltrated their military. And I sort of figured Reiner was going to go down the route of like, you know, just like the broad strokes. But he
Yeah.
gives these weirdly specific and intimate examples.
I caught most of them. There's two that I didn't. I couldn't put a scene to.
Me neither. I caught Potato Girl. He's talking about Sasha.
Sasha.
And I couldn't really think of the
Aaron is
rest offhand.
clearly the buffoon who just
Oh,
wades into
totally.
battle, and then like the two buffoons that follow him. That's clearly like Army, Mikasa, and Aaron. I think Connie was the bathroom one.
Oh, yeah, that might be it. Yeah.
Um,
So he remembers these people.
yeah,
Oh, and yeah, I mean, there's one more thing. Is he says it twice in his little monologue. He goes, "There's all kinds of people live on that island."
yeah.
And right at the end, Gabby's like, "Yeah, but they're all bad, right?"
And then that's when his mom swoops in. You can tell his
Yeah.
mom is like it's very similar to like Grisha's or to I guess yeah Grisha's parents or Zeke's grandparents. Of like no like you are like you're scum. Like you have to like follow the path.
It's crazy that
And
Grisha's grandparents are still alive. By the way, that he like literally greets them. They're his
yeah,
family.
yeah.
Like Jesus
Or
Christ.
Grisha's parent. It would be Grisha's parents.
Oh yeah.
Zeke's grandparents. But yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, no, just and that's the thing too, because like Reiner makes the mention. He's like, after that dinner scene, and like Gabby's kind of like, hey, like your mom's worried about you, and he's like, yeah, of course she is. I left when I was 12, and I came home a man. Like they went off to war at 12 years old, and they kind of
Yeah.
just I think that's how old they are, because that was our question last week of how old these kids, the warrior program kids, must be,
Yeah.
and they're
When
probably in the 13 age.
yeah, because what's his face? Falco does says, Gabby, this girl is obsessed with you. She'll die when she's 26 or 27. So
Yeah,
she's got a
13
13
years.
year life sentence when she gets the Titan. So yeah, that puts her on track, be in that
Well,
age
should be
range.
14, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's close.
yeah,
Um, if we wrap up and proceed to basically the last scene of the episode, it's a meeting that Zeke seems to be holding with all of the Titans, all the warrior can or the actual warriors, and there's no military presence there. It's only Eldians. They actually remark on that.
yeah.
I think one of the guys is like, "Where's the brass?"
It's like not this room.
Not in this room,
Yeah,
which we'll come back to in a second. Um, but Zeke basically paints his plan. He says, "Yo, we gotta take Paradise Island within a year. We're going to announce it, and we need to encourage." He's basically saying we need the public to remember
yeah.
how shitty all those devils are on that island. Probably just to get the public behind another war effort
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. and they're going to use this family. This is where we get into some new
Yeah, new two.
areas here. I think he said they're called the Tiber family. Is that right?
Yeah, Tiber family.
And they hold a Titan, and the Warhammer Titan, which I'm going to assume we haven't seen yet.
And this is also answers our question because I think last week or the week before, you and I were trying to do a count of the Titans, and I feel like we were
Hmm.
off by one, and I think here it is.
And here's a weird thing: is they go, oh yeah, the Warhammer Titan. The family's never sent him into battle.
Mm.
Is that allowed? Like, do they just get to choose?
Never into enemy territory.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's a distinction there.
So I think we're going to find more about the Tiber family. They clearly hold some
Some sway.
power or trick because if they're Eldian, how would the Marley government allow them just to be rich and like separated? There has to be more to that story.
Yeah, they're a respected family. They live in mansions. They
Mm.
were saying like they've been living the life.
And they
So,
also they
what's
also
their
point
deal?
out they also point out they're the reason in their side of the story,
Hmm.
the Warhammer Titan is the reason that King Fritz had to leave to parody in the first place.
Yeah, that family was responsible or a big part of driving King Fritz away.
Yeah.
So, lots to learn about this Tiber family.
I can only imagine what a Warhammer Titan looks like, Dave.
I know, dude. I'm
It's
I'm ready to find
I'm ready for some Titan on Titan fighting.
out. So clearly they're going to be a part of this. Most of the crew's basically on board. Um, I think pretty much everybody is there, and it's clear that I think the episode ends on two things. It ends with Reiner being like, "God damn it, am I really going back there?"
Yeah.
But right before that, you realize that the military, the Marlians, are listening in on their little meeting, and they say, "Oh, everything sounds good, except for that one thing Zeke said that we weren't in this room."
See, I found that strange because when Zeke said that, when he said not in this room, I had assumed that like they're they're listening, but they're just not in this room.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
So sorry, like just to finish my thought is like, does the Marley brass think that Zeke has never known, or that was like he had revealed that he knew they were always listening, or they are listening, or was it him saying, "Don't talk, not in this room"?
I have the same dilemma. I
Yeah,
don't know if the audience is meant to believe that Zeke actually believes that he's being unheard,
yeah,
or is he playing coy and he very well knows that he's being recorded and listened to, and he's just pretending that he doesn't.
mm,
Hard to tell, but either way, I think the point remains again that they are under heavy surveillance. Just because they're Titans doesn't really give them much, or just because they're warriors doesn't mean that they've earned privacy or anything, right?
no,
Um, if they meet wherever they are, Marley and Brass wants to know about it.
yeah, and see, this is like the way they close this episode out is so interesting because Zeke is very forward thinking. He knows that if he does not get the founding Titan, it's just straight up the end of Eldians altogether. Because if they don't, if Marley doesn't get their weapon, their tech together, and if they don't have the Titans, the rest of the world thinks the Eldians like they have just like terrorized them for how many hundreds of years.
Yeah.
This if they ever are in a situation where they lost, like the Marlians would be wiped out, like they'd probably be given a pass to live kind of thing, like like treaties of war and all that, peace treaties, but all the
Hmm.
Eldians would be wiped out.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Yeah, is it just genocide if Marley loses?
100%. I think that's what they've implied.
If so, it explains why they need Marley to win, even
Yeah,
though it's like the ruler that they know versus the non-existent if the ruler loses.
yeah,
So yeah, he does a good job, or the show does a good job of illustrating this is our last shot.
hmm
We have as much on the line at this point as the main cast folks do on Parody Island, because they risk everything if they can't occupy Parody within a year.
yeah.
So maybe by the end of this, maybe next week or the week after that, we'll see the main cast. I didn't look at the preview. I don't think.
I did see. I think we're getting another episode without,
Yeah, it wouldn't
but
be shocking. I wonder how much longer they're going to do this for.
I do think we're getting a reveal of the Stinger character from episode 1.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I
I
want some. We've done quite a bit of background. We've set some stakes.
yeah.
I'm ready to see a bit of development.
I do believe it's going to be a Falco centric episode. That's the way they kind of marketed
Painted it.
it in that, yeah, in like that 10-second stinger.
Well,
So,
Falco's an interesting character. So
but they also, yeah, it's interesting because they kind of, like I said, they painted it as, you know, it's like shot of Falco, and then there's a kind of like a, like a tagline, like a closing line, and then it just cuts to Reiner, and it's like,
oh yeah.
so like I, my guy Reiner, I'm really rooting for him. I don't want him from you know from the get go. He's always been such an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly conflicted, clearly damaged from all the trauma that he's had to go through. Like,
Dude, he's had a miserable existence, and
yeah,
like, the shitty part is that even if he was able to find some kind of peace or salvation, he's probably got a year left to live anyway. Like, that's the
yeah,
shitty part. Is you know what I mean? Even if he was able to wash off all this indoctrination or just escape and be happy elsewhere, he'd be dead anyway.
yeah,
So that's obviously a key message. I think
yeah.
is he's become a means to an end, and I think that the best case is that he gains some independence and some freedom from everything before he dies,
Mm.
but he's going to die.
Yeah, I think Reiner's Gonzo.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think they've been alluding to that
Oh
for
God,
quite
yeah.
some time
He's
though.
had so
Like,
many near brushes with death.
yeah, yeah. It's so funny. The armor Titan, like the plot armor, is slowly fading away. Like
Like he got cut to bits in that last one. Jesus.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
It's
mean, Aaron and Co. and the scouts, they've all kind of got his number at this point too. Not to take anything away from him, he's
mm-hmm.
very effective, but
Yeah.
he is not nearly the invincible force that he was when he knocked down that wall a while
Well,
back.
he's been a shield for literally he's been a suit of armor, a shield, a protector of his side, and he's now useless.
Yep.
Not essentially, like he's still very powerful, and he's like a tactical mind, and he's a soldier, but his purpose of being that impenetrable wall is it's no longer the case.
Yeah.
You know the the significance of that Titan, like the hierarchy. If anything, like Galliard would be like a more sought after Titan now because like of his speed and agility and avoiding and like getting in close.
Yeah, dude, that guy
Whereas,
looks. Yeah, Galliard looked
yeah,
super effective in that first episode.
yeah,
And I think as part of just the Crunchyroll trailers, or maybe even part of the opening theme, that you see some Galliard action scenes upcoming.
oh, okay.
And it looks like he's going to be squaring off a bunch in this throughout the season. So it's going to be interesting to see more of him. I'm interested to
Yeah.
see more of him and Piek and all these other people, and obviously the Warhammer Titan. Just
I
that
don't.
name.
Yeah, the name alone. I'm sure we're not going to get like a shifting reveal or anything like that. But I'm curious to see like this Tiber family. That's
Yeah.
more character. I'm throw as much character at us as you want. Is all I can say. Like the show just oozes with like lore and just always keeping you on your toes, and I love that. I love being confused. I love rewatching scenes like 30 seconds back at a time to be like, what? Okay, let's it's I love it.
No, man, I agree. They lay it on super thick in this show,
Yeah,
and it's really, really, really well done. I'm super excited for next week's episode 3, and we should pick up then.
absolutely. Can't wait to talk to you, Dave.
All right, bud. Until next time. Thanks for listening.